In this video, we are going to practice graphing feasible regions subject to constraints. So here we're just simply practicing graphing lines, shading in the appropriate spots, and marking where that feasible region is. So in order to do that, we're going to begin by defining what lines we're going to graph. So here we have our constraints, and that tells us what our lines are. So we're going to graph the line x equals 2. We're going to graph the line x equals 8, y equals x, and y equals 0. So x equals 2 is a vertical line at the x value 2. It's solid because it tells us here that it's greater than or equal to. So we're going to start by graphing the line. And then our next step would be, so we graphed x equals 2, then we're either going to shade to the left or to the right of 2. This says that x must be greater than or equal to 2, so that's all these positive values of x over here. All right, next we have x equals 8, so that would be a vertical line that crosses the x value 8. And now let's go ahead and shade where it tells us to in this constraint that x is less than or equal to 8. So we want only values less than 8 but greater than 2. So in between those two vertical lines. The next line we have to graph is y equals x. So this is a line with a slope of 1 and a y-intercept that goes through the origin at 0, 0. So there's our origin and our slope is 1. So I'll just mark all these points and then I'm going to draw a straight line through it. And it goes down this way as well. And that's the line y equals x. Now we need to know, do we shade above or below this line? There's a few ways you can decide to do this. We can either plug in a point and then check to see which point makes the equation true. Or you might know that if we see this less than, that usually tells us to shade below the line. So I will grab us a new color here so we can distinguish it. So we're going to shade below the line y equals x, which would be all of these values. So you're starting to see where our overlap is for our feasible region. And we still need one more line to kind of close it off, which is the line y equals 0. It's a horizontal line at 0. Right here. Y equals 0. And then we want to shade all the values that are, it says greater than 0, so that would be above it. So let's grab one more color here and let's just see what this feasible region looks like. So if I were to shade everything above 0, that goes up here. And now we see that our feasible region is marked by all the overlap. And it's kind of this region that is enclosed by all of our lines, if that makes sense. So to outline it, it would be here, 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 and here. So at this point, we're simply graphing it. We want to mark the corners. It does mention that we want to do that. So the corners of the feasible region are simply the places where the lines cross that mark the edges. So we just want to put those as coordinates. So we have right here, we have 8, it looks like 8, 8. And then we just want to do that same thing, marking all the other corners. So this would be 8, 0. This would be 2, 0. And this would be 2, 2. So we'll expand off this lesson in later ones, but for now, this is graphing a feasible region subject to constraints.